But it ties into that conversation around like changing environments and looking for an environment that not only is great and super positive, but something that like resembles what you want and your values as well. Like I imagine you would have got the taste at the Warriors, like you know what that environment's like, and it was kind of almost like where, all right, well, how do I get that again? Welcome back to the Keegan and Company podcast. For those who are new to the show, my name is Keegan Hipgrave. And guys, if you haven't already, could I get you to jump over, hit that little like and subscribe button on whatever platform you listen to this podcast on, whether it's Apple, YouTube, Spotify. It's a great way for us to grow the platform, grow the podcast, and just have some amazing guests like I have on today. In this episode, I'm joined by professional NRLW player for the Brisbane Broncos, Brianna Clark. How are you, Bri?
I'm good. I'm great.
And hey, also, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in on your birthday.
No, that's okay.
Yeah,
Great way to start the morning.
You're actually the second birthday podcast that we did.
Oh.
We did Harry Grant probably back end of last year. So hey, I'm super grateful to have you on. And also I got you a gift.
Oh,
I got you a whoop. I got you a little whoop. Have you seen them before?
I have. I've seen like the ads and stuff like that, and I tried to tell my mum to get one because she didn't want an Apple Watch. I was like, "Why don't you try the Whoop?"
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah,
so it's a recovery tracker. So it'll track like your sleep, your strain, your stress, and what it'll do is give you a recovery score.
Wow.
I was going to give it to you afterwards, but I was just like, I was thinking, I was like, how are we going to lead into this podcast? I was like, I feel like it's fitting to say that it's your actual birthday. What's plans today? Have you got much on today?
Oh, not much today. I'll probably go grab a coffee, go chill on Burleigh Hill this afternoon. Oh, well, after this.
Yeah.
And then it's the BMD grand final today. So
wow.
Yeah, Cutters versus Devils. So I'll go watch that.
Where's that? Is it on the Goldie?
No. So I'm shooting off to Redcliffe.
Gotcha. You're just doing laps.
I know. I'm just like, yep, I'll be there. Yep, I'll be there.
Laps of Brisbane and Gold Coast. Hey, I'm glad to have you on today. I'm really keen to flesh it out. And hey, we had a beautiful morning.
Yeah.
P3 recovery.
So
How you feeling?
I feel great. I was not real keen on the cold. Like, yeah. Usually I wait till I'm paid to do that. And you're like, yeah, recovery. And I was like, oh, great. That means cold.
Because I do, like, I love doing something with a guest before rolling into a podcast, whether it's doing a session. One of your teammates, Julia Robinson, we had a good little training session before we did hers at the end of last year. And so I want to include, especially recovery, because it's such a great, I don't know about you, but I feel so great right now.
I do feel good. Like, skin feels good. Everything feels good. I feel lighter.
I think I was telling you at the end of last year, we were in summer. We're doing the podcast at a mum and dad's place, and they got like a beautiful place in Palmy. And I did one with Jordan Ricky.
Oh, nice.
But it was so hot. It was like 9 or 10 in the morning. It's already like 30-something degrees. And Jordy, we're already sweating because we had a coffee beforehand.
Yeah.
And I was just like, mate, do you just want to like dive in the ice bath with us? And just to cool our body temps down. And we were obviously like shivering at the start a little bit. And then by the time we rolled into it, like we were fine. Yeah. But how, like, what does your recovery look like during training? Because you ever said you only really like do the recovery when you're training. What does it look like for you?
For me, like, I'll obviously when we're training and stuff, we finish off with ice baths and a bit of sauna and stuff. But for me, like, I love a massage. I'll go book in once a week somewhere and just get like a proper massage, and it sort of resets me there. And that's not,
but that wouldn't be a club thing. You're doing that independently.
No, I just do that on my own. Yeah.
What's the? Because I think about this all the time, like especially in the female space, because you guys are obviously training at such a high, incredible level, but a lot of the girls aren't full-time yet, you know? And I had a conversation with Taylor Harris, who I was telling you about earlier this morning, and she was saying that if you do want to be a great player, like you've got to do the stuff yourself, like all these little things. Is that something that you think about?
Yeah, 100%. Like even just with massage and stuff, there's a lot of, and even just going to like your like recovery centers and stuff, like it sort of comes out of your pocket. But it's like, if you don't do it, you're going to fall behind, and it's just something you need to do to just be that little extra on top of your game kind of thing. You have to do it.
I think you have to, especially recovery, because like you guys are balancing like not only like your careers, like your footy careers, but also like your off-field careers, you know, like with whatever work you want to be doing. And like, that's why I loved going to P3 recovery this morning in Burleigh, because it was just like obviously grateful that we got to have the place to ourselves before everyone else got in there, but like we could roll in, do our ice, do our recovery, and then we can roll in for the rest of the day. But those little 1%ers, I think about that all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that a conversation that happens with the girls around like doing the 1%ers off the field?
I think it sort of comes into like a culture of like your team culture kind of thing. Like you sort of set standards and stuff. So if you do all the stuff at training right, all the other little things you do outside of that becomes a 1%er kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, because they're going to set you up as well as they can, but it's up to you to sort of eat well, like drink enough water before your training, and like go get a massage and stuff if you're sore and all those sorts of things.
But is there people in the club that like will follow you up on that, whether that being around like nutrition? I know.
Yeah. We've got nutritionists and stuff. Like I went and seen ours a couple of weeks ago because they want to get us sorted before we even go into camp, kind of thing. So check skin folds, and I've got to go get bloods done and all that sort of stuff.
Do bloods as well.
Yeah.
Just to make sure everyone's on top.
That iron will get you every time. You're female.
Yeah. It's definitely a conversation that I'm more than happy to unpack. Before there's so many parts of your story that I'm really excited to talk about. You know, you went over to America for college to play soccer. You know, playing professional rugby league. You've been out of Origin. Now you're playing for the Kiwis, and there's so many great parts of this story. But before we dive into that, I kind of want to know what it was like growing up in the Clark household. Like, what were you like? Did you play a bunch of different sports? Like, what did it look like?
So I grew up in a little town called Serena, like where Reuben Cotter and Daly, Cherry Evans and everything.
Gotcha.
Growing up, so it's like half coastal, half country kind of thing, little town, and you've either got the beach, or you got a skate park, or you got a footy field.
You said that you did a little bit of skating this morning.
I was like an absolute tomboy, growing up. Yeah, and I have 3 brothers and a sister. So the boys played like footy. Me and my sister played soccer from 7s through to, I think I was about 20 or something like that. So, parents both working and stuff. So it was just like after school sport, social sport, and then on the weekends we'd be flying over to one football field and then over to the soccer grounds and stuff, and then with that day you'll be like the little ferals behind the goalpost, you know, kicking the footy around with all the boys and stuff. So I think it just growing up was just like beach days, sport. That was pretty much it.
Seemed like a super active lifestyle.
Active. Like we started with nippers and stuff. I think that's probably where like competitiveness come from.
Really?
Yeah.
I think about that a lot, like how competitiveness brews in people. Like I look at my situation with I had an older sister who was 2 years older than me, and she was such a better athlete than me growing up. Like she was she did surf lifesaving and water polo and a variety of different sports, but it was always like kind of like you want what you can't have, and she was like making the Queensland teams, and we had this rule in our house where you weren't allowed to wear like a Queensland jersey or a South Coast, like a representative jersey, unless you've made the team. And I was like, I want to wear those Queensland socks. I was like, those Queensland socks look so cool. So I was like, mate, would hang like a Queensland jersey up in my room, like you can't wear it. I was like, mate, this is like just trying to brew it. But then, like you said, like nippets was a big part of like building the competitiveness.
Yeah.
What part of it that do you think builds the competitive nature?
I think just like, you know, you play like the flags game where there's little poles and you're just and you're entwined with the boys. So I think that was probably a big thing with my like competitiveness, is like having brothers and then being like the only girl, because I did play junior rugby league as well, like for under 7s and stuff, and I played a school boys game when I was 12, and that was another thing.
Really?
Yeah. So I think just trying to stand up for yourself and like just competing kind of thing. Like you don't want to be the little girl crying on the outside because no one's passing you the ball kind of thing. Like you get in there.
So were you that girl? Were you that girl that would get in there and be like, give me the ball?
Well, after I got bullied a lot, you know, like after I was that girl crying and no one really cared. So it was like, just go, like crying's not going to fix it. Like go get in there and show them that you can do it kind of thing. And
you grew up with a house of boys?
And a sister.
How many?
So we got the three brothers and a sister. So I'm the second youngest. I got one younger brother, 2 older brothers, and an older sister. Yeah.
So where do you see? Are you the oldest?
I'm second.
You're
youngest.
second.
Yeah, but I'm like the baby because I'm like the girl, I suppose, like the youngest girl, and then I've got like a younger brother. So he was pretty much like older than me.
Are they very similar to yourself? Like very into sport as well, or what?
Well, so it's funny how you talk about your sister. Like I probably the opposite way was like, so my sister is a far better athlete than me, or always was, and I always looked up to her, like followed her around, like she was incredible. But I suppose I'm 4 years younger than her, so I come in at a good time where like there is pathways and stuff for the female sport where it's growing and stuff, but she didn't really get those opportunities. So she was just hustle bustle with the boys and just doing her best, and she could have had like, I reckon she could have been a soccer or AFL like gun kind of thing.
Really?
Like, just timing didn't really work out for her. But
that's but then even like being around, like, because it's cool, like obviously you've got your sister to look up to, but you're around the boys, and I imagine that that would have contributed to your competitiveness and then and rolling into not only NRLW but also playing like throughout your soccer career, right?
Just everything. Hey, like that picking order kind of thing. Like, like you're highly protected, but at the same time they'll keep you very humble and stuff too. But like they're my biggest fans. Like I always get, like, we got a group chat, like a family chat and stuff, and everyone's on it. Like most of them, they all have like families and stuff now, and then I'm the little gypsy kid that's bouncing around cities like, oh yeah, she's here now, she's over here.
Do they give you any tips or advice on how to play footy at the moment?
No, not really. Like it was really special. Like when I debuted for my Origin and stuff, like me and my oldest brother, he was probably the biggest footy head. Like loved his footy. Played till he was 27 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like just local footy, like for Serena Crocs. But like A grade, like I remember growing up and watching that, and like it felt like NRL when you're watching your big brother out there kind of thing. Yeah. And like he'll, like when I've got like a big game kind of thing, because we don't message every day or anything. Yeah. So it's like every couple months or so. So like when I've got like a special event like World Cup or the Origin was the big one, like he sent me this big paragraph and just like, like just giving me all like advice. Not advice.
I was going to say, what did he say?
Words of affirmation. Like he's just like, you've earned this kind of thing. Like just go out there, put your head down and just play your game. But it was nicer than that. But like I can't really remember particularly, but it was just like a really nice message to get at that time.
It's cool. It's cool to have people in your corner.
Yeah. My family, they're
big supporters.
Solid. Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing, especially like with footy. Like when I was playing, my favorite thing, you'd like run out, you'd like look up in the crowd to see where to see where your family are, and then you
just feel calm.
You feel calm. I don't know
know
what it is about that, but there is something about it, because even went to the Swifts, there's sort of like a netball team, a professional netball team in Sydney. They play in obviously around Australia, but I was talking to a lot of the dads after the game and the function afterwards, and they're just like they look because their daughters are looking up at them, and I was just like, I used to do the exact same thing. Yeah. But there is a calming element to it, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. But then I'm also the opposite scale. So I get real anxious about like organising tickets and all that sort of stuff, because I had a bit of a bad experience. But it wasn't a bad experience, but it was my first, I think I got number 20 for Origin in the 2020 kind of thing. Like that. So my family had all organised, because thinking I was in the squad, they didn't realise that there was like a selection process.
Yes.
So they'd all like booked all this stuff and flights and stuff. There's like Newcastle, Airlie Beach, Mackay.
Everyone's coming in from everywhere.
Booking hotels and stuff, and I was like, guys, I'm not playing.
Yeah.
So I like feel so anxious from that now. So I'd like sometimes I just rather like.
Yeah.
Just to know that they're watching on TV, they can all get together, like if they live close together, and like I'm happy and then I'll check the group chat after and see what all the commentation's going on after. That I'm happy with that. But then if they do want to come and they organise it and stuff, I'm like, sweet, like it is nice that they're there, but I don't push it on them. Like I was like, I don't need you to come. Like I'd rather you don't like not pay for flights and all this sort of stuff to be there. But but like it's just like in my heart, I'm like, oh, don't do it.
It's gonna happen again. But then also like the club games, like we were talking about the female Origin game that just happened at Suncorp, like 25,000. Like that's got to be so. It's got to be such a cool feeling to know how far the female game has come, especially since when you started. Because you started in the 6 years ago, right?
Yeah. Well, the year that I played, I think our crowd was 7,000.
Wow.
And that was like, it felt huge, like when we were at Sunny Coast. And then on that Thursday just gone, I went and sat with Princey in the Powers box up there, and like it was Suncorp Stadium, like it was packed, like it felt packed, like it was loud, it was like they had everything going on, and it just felt like I kind of wanted to cry, like I got like that emotion, like when I just had a bit of a moment when I was looking, I'm like, this is so cool, like, it's happening,
but it is, and like you can see it happening. Like the Origin game last year broke the record at 17 or 18,000. This year they broke it again at 25,000.
And then Newcastle sold out apparently.
Is Newcastle sold out? Apparently. Is that game too?
Yeah.
So cool.
How crazy.
Gives me goosebumps thinking, because it's just like the girls' game is so fresh. Like we're only so young in that environment. And then imagine what like the next 10, I say this in every podcast with a female athlete. I was like, imagine what the next 10 years is going to look like.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, because you're in such a fortunate position now, and you're in such a fortunate position now of where you are, being like still like super young in the game, and you could probably play for the next 5 or 10 years. Is that cool to think about?
I hope to. Yeah. Because it's funny, because when I re-signed with the Bronx, they're like, this is birthday talk here. They're like your age now. I'm 29. Like I turned 29. What? But I feel
easy.
I was like, hang on a minute. Yeah. I was like, I feel like I've only just started. Like, because it's always been that little footstep a little bit closer each year kind of thing. And now I just kind of feel like I'm starting to get a bit of a profile, and like I feel confident in myself enough to like play my game well kind of thing, like where I'm confident in a starting position and all that sort of stuff. So it's like I see like another 7 to 10 years, hopefully. Like I can't even imagine it not playing at this point, like because I love it. Like I genuinely love it. I love being a part of it. Like it gives me purpose and all that sort of stuff, you know, like, and all the things that come with it, like this sort of stuff. Like when would this ever happen if I was, you know, just chilling?
Well, hey, if you want to go for another 7, 10 years, you're gonna have to get into the ice baths a bit more and just look after the body.
I'm gonna have to get through it.
This is I really do want to talk about building confidence, what you just talked about, but and also like your football career. But I do want to zoom in on the time of your life with your soccer career, because when I only know you as an NRLW player, I don't know you as any other athlete. I didn't know that you played soccer. But tell me a little bit about how you got into soccer and the trajectory pushed you to play over in the States and play over there. What did that look like? Yeah,
so I was like a couple of years out of school, just I'd sort of managed to find a good paying full-time job. Like I was in the mining industry and stuff like that. And like growing up, I've always played sport, always loved it. I didn't really see a career in front of me of anything. But like for some reason in my head, I'm like, I would love to be an Olympian.
So oh really?
Yeah.
Why Olympian?
Of what? I don't know. Like I just want to be in like a sport.
I just want the tattoo rings.
Yeah, literally I want that tattoo. Like imagine being an Olympian.
Well, but you didn't see an avenue of how to be professional?
No, like even with the soccer, because soccer's sort of only just blown up in these last couple of years too, like with the platform that they have now. Yeah. But I was just like, I think being located in Mackay kind of thing, we don't really have like the academies and all that sort of stuff. So it was just club football. But the thing was like I was a 13-year-old playing against women. Yes. Like in 8th grade.
Is that hard to do?
That's not normal. Yeah.
No, that's what you say that very blasé. I'm like 13 against very. I can't. That's going to be huge.
Like a 13-year-old playing women in like league. You know, like they've got things set, so you're not doing that. But I suppose soccer's a bit different to rugby league, but yeah, it was still that like I held my own in that and stuff. So I was like, I feel like I could go somewhere with, but I didn't know how. And then a couple of my friends from that team, they'd gone over to the States in like a college scholarship type thing. And come back, and one of their friends was coaching, and she was sort of trying to find recruits, like because they do a lot of abroad stuff, like getting people from abroad. So they asked me about it, and I was like, oh, maybe, like I don't know how that even works. I don't know what I'd do. I don't know what I'd study over there. And I kind of like growing up, it's in that small town. It's kind of like you either go uni or you get a trade, and you just do that. Kind of thing, like small town, we go to the same places, same thing every time we come back. And I was just like, I want more. Like I don't want to do that. So I think that was my opportunity to leave the small town, you know, leave that place and go see what else is out there. And I loved it. I've had the best time of my life.
Where did you go? Because you did college in.
So it's called Ottumwa. Ottumwa, Iowa, which is in the cornfields, literally. So I left Serena and literally landed in like the Serena of America. So I'm like, I'm going to go out there. There's going to be big college frat parties and like massive buildings and stuff. And it was like literally like a big sports center.
Describe what it was like, because I have a vision of what country America would look like, but can you describe what it was like?
It was actually beautiful, like the actual landscape and all that sort of stuff. You got every season, like winter was insane, like negative 21 degrees. Wow. You'd walk out to your class, and if you had like any kind of moisture in your hair would just like freeze and like half like snap if and like so you just scoot over to your next class kind of thing. But it was literally just like big. It was like a high school. Yeah. It was literally just a high school. And then we sort of rolled in on buses when they picked us up from the airports. Like we travelled like 24 hours. Like I've got a suitcase. That was my life in a suitcase.
Yeah.
And like we rocked up to this college and like they're like, all right, well, this is your room key. This is your room. You went into the room and it was literally like a prison cell. Like it was like these white walls, concrete floors, like brick, like these industrial doors and stuff. And I was just like, it had a smell. Like I can still smell the smell, like, you know? And I was just like, oh my God, all communal. Like, it was so gross.
Co-ed?
Pardon?
Like co-ed living, like boys and girls in the same.
They had floors. So your boys, they said they had like soccer, golf, like all that sort of stuff, basketball.
They broke it up the floors by sport. That's so funny.
But it was so cool because it was such like it was so multicultural. So with the soccer teams, like most of them were Brazilian and stuff. So we had like Brazilians, there was Africans, there was like all these different types of cultures and stuff. And everyone just like got around each other. Hey, it was so good.
Were you nervous going into a new place? Because I imagine like, you know, uprooting your life from little Serena to go all the way over to America, not knowing anyone.
I think I was young and naive and I was just like, the world is my oyster. Like, I'm going to go kill it over here. Like, but it wasn't like, it was daunting and like scary, but I was more excited than scared kind of thing. I was really excited for it. Yeah.
And what did the training look like over there? You said this morning that it was pretty tough.
It was intense. So it was full time. So I think we would play about 3 80-minute games a week.
That's so wild.
And because we were in like the small little place that we were, all the other towns were either between probably 3-hour bus trip to 6 to 7 hours. So it was like travel like on a little bus, go play your game, turn around. You'd get pizza after a game, like every time. So I can't even really look at pizza or Subway anymore.
Pizza's off the cards. Like, it's such a shame. We love pizza.
Yeah, but trainings were insane. Like the summers over there, I thought Australia was hot, but that is next level over there.
So you just have like bipolar, like it would be super hot and then the winters would be super cold.
Super cold. Then you'd have like the beautiful autumn and spring and stuff. Like, but yeah, training was insane. And I don't know. It's kind of like a blur now. Like, I think, but it did shape me into, I think going from not having any of that kind of training. Like I used to train as like a club level kind of thing, and then going into a full-time thing, it was a big shock. Like, but I think that's kind of helped me go into those like NRLW and all those sorts of things. Like it's a little step up every time.
Well, it's the whole education piece, right? And it's cool to have, it's cool that you got to go through that, and especially the girls now where there's so much investment in grassroots with the young girls coming through, because I was super fortunate where we were in a junior Broncos development system from like under 13s to under 17s, and then you would go into under 20s, which is semi-professional. So you've had all this time where you're, you know, building systems, you're building good routines. You can see like a sort of a path and an avenue, but like with the girls space, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there hasn't really been any grassroots. But so now it's probably good that you had that taste in that late teens, so you can come into it now, right?
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I think I love the idea of having when you're younger and stuff, and there is like standards and all that sort of stuff put into place, because I didn't know any of that stuff, so it was a shock when like you're getting yelled at for something and you didn't even know you had to do. You're just like, oh, okay, all right, sorry, we're on the bounce. Okay, so
we learn quickly.
Yeah, like you learn real quick.
You were telling me the story about how you broke your foot with the coach. Can you tell me that story?
Oh, I had awful times. So I was a defender, like, so I'm right at the back, so I'm like the last person for them to kick a goal pretty much. Yeah. And I had my foot stood on, like she like turned on it and just, and I was like, woo, okay, that's broken. And so I got ran around so many times. I was trying to like call off for like a sub because I was in pain, but I was still trying to kick on. And then come off the end of the game. We had a lead and then we lost the lead, so it was like a bad loss. Yeah. And then like we were all sitting down feeling sorry for ourselves, and the coach literally just grilled me. She's like, you were pathetic out there. Like, you need to be mentally stronger. If you're sore, you're not sore. Like, I was just like,
how do you take that?
In that moment, I was just like, because I knew I was like, I'm not like weak. Like I know I've got a pretty good like pain threshold and stuff like that. And I'm going to bust my ass, and I did bust my ass because I was still out there. I didn't lay on the ground and like say like, which I should have maybe, then that would have got me off. But But I think it was just I was a bit shocked as well by the reaction that I got from her, and then I was like the older one in the group kind of thing. I had a couple of years out of high school and stuff, so I've probably had some experiences with people where I'm just like, brush it off, whatever. But yeah, I think I was just glad that it was me getting grilled and just torn down like that, because I think I was probably the stronger of the group
instead of the younger girls.
The younger girls, where that probably would have just ruined your confidence.
Do you think she would have done it as like an example, because you could have taken you could have taken it?
She was a head case.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe not.
No, she was a bit of a head case, but she was an athlete. Well, she'd done the college thing, and I think she just thought she ruled the roost a bit there.
Yeah,
like a bit of a.
But then you went on to keep playing.
Yeah, so then after that, so I went and got my recovery was like this ultrasound thing. So they didn't X-ray my foot, and I knew I was not well.
Because if it's a cost over there, it's a huge cost.
Yeah, you have to pay for it, and they didn't want to do that. And then so this little ultrasound is like a little ice stick. So for the next 2 days before the next game, probably like on the Wednesday, I had to play again, and then I was just trying to get through that game, and then I collided with someone and like got my hand stuck in between, and like broke this hand, and it was clearly broken, like it blew up. Yeah. So then they finally sent me over for a scan for that, and I was like, "Can you please X-ray my foot too? Like, I think that one's broken too." fractured, and then and no apology from her, nothing. Like, she's like, "All right, we'll just have a week off or something." Like,
wait, I'm pretty sure fractures take a little bit longer than
like 6 weeks. Yeah, but just somehow I did it. I don't know how I did it.
Yeah, we're having this conversation this morning. It's like, I wonder if because it's a fine line with coaches, right? Between, because I think similar to yourself, I've been through coaches who super aggressive, super in your face. Like I remember when we first started into the professional scene, we'd be in like the under-20s competition, and then you'd come in on a Monday afternoon, and there would be like, we'd do the video session and we'd go through the game, and then you can see your name up on certain clips. Like, I'm sure you do it as well. Like it'd be like Hipgrave, but it'd be like, Hipgrave, what the F is this? Hipgrave, you dumb. Like, and it'd be like 17, 18-year-old kid being like, "Oh no, my name's up on the board." And then even in the time, like you would do something wrong in the game, and then afterwards, like Monday, you just know it's coming. And but I think and that was at Bronx, but I remember thinking, I look back on it now, like as it was really positive for me, because like I know they just want what's best for me, and the coach who like, don't get me wrong, they would proper spray you like yelling, like, and but then I look back at it now and it's like, I got so much resilience and so much great learnings from that, and the coach, he's a mentor now, and he's really great, but I always wonder, it's that fine line, and it might be different for young girls as well who might not have that experience.
I think I found for me, out of like my coach experiences, like I've had some really good coaches, had some pretty terrible ones too, and I think I'm from that, like, I'll work for someone that I respect, kind of thing. Like, God, I'm so coach driven. Like, as long as Scott Prince is at Bronx, I'll be at Bronx. Like, I love
Princey
that guy.
is one of the greatest men.
Yeah, and just his entourage and stuff, and the way they do things, like that, it works for me. Like, I love that. Yeah. So I think, probably that's my biggest learning out of that, is just like, if like removing yourself from an environment that you don't want to be, like that doesn't work for you, kind of thing. So I'm happy to shift around in teams, and I have in the past, just purely based on where I want to be, kind of thing. Like, there's a big thing about like loyalty and stuff in football, but it's like, you have to put yourself in a good place so you can play good footy and enjoy yourself, kind of thing, and get the best out of yourself. Like, I'm big on that. Like,
and apply that to all aspects of life. Like whether you're not in the right like work environment or like friendship group. Friendship groups are a perfect analogy of like, the people that you hang around, like they're the people, that's the person you're probably going to be like. And but you've had times where you've have to change teams, which I can't imagine being easy.
Well, I've given up a Origin career to go play for Kiwis, like purely out of, that's the environment that I thrive in and I want to be in and stuff like that. Like, Origin was a tough period. Like, it's really, really demanding and stuff. And it's, like when you think you're doing all the right things and then it doesn't go your way, kind of stuff. Like, I probably could have pushed through and stuff and like kept going for it, but it was just so draining. Like, and I just find myself, you just don't even know why you're doing it at that point, kind of thing. Like,
I'd love to zoom in on this aspect and this story, because I imagine for you, similar to all younger players, like Origin's the goal.
Yeah.
Origin's the dream. Like, you wanted to do that. And was it similar for yourself?
Oh, 100%. So when I first knew I was going to try to do this rugby league thing, like in my room, like behind my door, I'd literally printed out a Gillaroos jumper, a Broncos jumper, and a Maroons jumper, and stuck it on the back of my
Goosebumps.
Yeah.
That's so sick. Yeah.
And so I ended up I debuted with the Warriors, and that was the best experience I've ever had. Like, I met my best friends in there, like just the entire, like, oh, it's so hard to explain, because unless you were in it, like, you don't like understand like how special it was.
That's also your culture as well. Like your mum's.
Yeah, mum was born over there. Yeah, I'm Brisbane born and like raised and everything, but like I'm eligible through that.
But Kiwis, like you've got your heritage, right?
Yeah,
like you're still in there.
Yeah. So, I forget where I was getting at.
You were saying you printed the Gillaroos, the Broncos, but the Warriors was such a great experience.
Yeah, so that was my debut. That was the first sort of contract that I was given. Like, that was the only one I got that year, and I was like, oh my God, like, woohoo! Like, but I always had that Broncos jersey on the wall kind of thing. But
why Broncos? Just because it was so
my dad
close.
was a huge fan. Like, we always supported them growing up and stuff. So it was just our team kind of thing as a family. And then even like, because I watched the NRLW the year before, because the first year of it, like, I was a huge fan of like the Bronx girls, like loved Doozy. Like, I used to be the biggest fangirl of it. Now I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. Who else were you looking up to at the Bronx at the time, or even just in the Queensland team? Was there some standouts?
Millie Boyle, like, I always loved her persona and everything, and the way she played. I love my forwards pretty much. Yeah. I'm such a forwards girl. Yeah. But yeah, so once I sort of I got into that, and then things just started happening. It was like, I had my Warriors year, then I went and played with the Valleys, and Princey was my coach that year. And he's like, we're going to get you in the Origin team. Like, we're going to get you there this year. So
why did he say that? Because he
like,
obviously saw the potential.
He knew, like, I wanted to do it and all that sort of stuff. And he's like, we're going to get you, like, that'll be our goal for the year kind of thing. And it happened that year. So that was, I did debut that year. So then I finally ticked off I got my Origin thing. I got my Warriors. Well, I was Warriors, but so ticked off my Maroons career, and then I think it was the following year after I debuted, I got dropped completely out of the squad, and I was heartbroken.
Out of the Origin squad?
Yeah, fully out of the squad. And I wasn't, like, it didn't make sense. Like, I didn't know why and all that sort of stuff. And I didn't really get that kind of communication from the coaching sort of stuff and all that sort of thing. So then because when I was at Warriors, I got really good friends with Georgia Hale. Yeah. And she's probably one of my favourites, actually. Yeah, that's one of the ones. Yeah,
shout out Georgia.
Shot G. And then, she was kind of like, you're half Kiwi, hey? I was like, yeah. She's like, you know it's World Cup here. I was like, yeah. She's like, why don't you come Kiwis? I'll talk to the coach and stuff. And she sort of planted the seed. She's like, no pressure or anything, planted the seed. And I was just sort of thinking about, I was like, after the experience I had with the Warriors crew, and that's where I met G and all that sort of stuff, I was just like, that's what, like, it makes sense. Like, I just know I was going to go and have the best time. Like, just with the team list and all that sort of stuff, I was like, I don't have any regrets and stuff. And there was even, like, after I'd made, like, announced that I was doing the World Cup with Kiwis and stuff, there was like an article was like, oh, she shot herself in the foot and all that stuff. She could have had a great career in the Origin. I'm like, I haven't shot myself in the foot at all, man. I've got years to come of, like, Kiwis and all that sort of stuff. Like, and I still love watching the game, like the Origin. Like, I don't have any like I'm not envious or anything. I'm just actually just so proud and so happy for them to, like, in watching it, because I've been in the system and stuff and, like, yep, sweet, it's tough. I know what they're going through. So I kind of, like, sympathize with them as well, like, knowing the pressure and stuff they're under. So I'm like, but I still love it. Like,
but it ties into that conversation around, like, changing environments and looking for an environment that not only is great and super positive, but something that, like, resembles what you want and your values as well. Like, I imagine you would have got the taste at the Warriors. Like, you know what that environment's like, and it was kind of almost like where, well, how do I get that again? Yeah. Not to shame the Origin setup at all. Like,
it's just a different setting.
It's just a different setting. What was it about it? Like, when you first went into the Kiwis camp, what was it about it that made it so special?
I think it was like, so when we got like, we were brand new, like we hadn't made NRLW, like everyone that got selected was an extended kind of NRLW, like the up and comings.
Really?
And they'd sort of plucked us all from Australia because it was the COVID year. So they only had 5 girls from New Zealand that could actually come over because we had to live in the bubble in Manly.
Gotcha.
So we're all these brand new people, all from different parts of like Australia. We all rocked up and like we were greeted, like we had it was so cultural, like so much cultural stuff, and it was just like so special. And even just the 5 girls that were there, they just welcomed us like so, like you just felt like, I remember probably one of the memories with Georgia was like, you know, you have your big breakfast rooms and stuff, and they sort of like sit down, you don't know who you want to sit next to, and she would just plonk, like, because she was like a star for me even then, like I'd watched her on TV and stuff, and she would just sit down and she'd rattle off, she'd ask you about your family, where you're from, like all this sort of stuff. So it was just like really genuine connections and stuff, like not that like that skin deep sort of stuff, like it was so it was that, I think it was just such a tight knit, and you just felt like you were a part of it, kind of thing from the get go.
What kind of cultural stuff did you guys do? Because and was it hard because it's like obviously something you're probably not used to. Like obviously you've got your heritage, but you grew up in Serena. I'm saying that right, Serena?
Yeah.
You grew up in Serena. Yeah. Like what was the cultural stuff that sort of stood out to you? Like what kind of stuff were you doing?
Well, I'm not Māori or anything, but like I think it's just how beautiful it is. Like, and it just the message and everything, and it's all just welcoming like ceremonies and all that sort of stuff. And then because we had Indigenous girls in the team as well, so we had cultural nights, and there was Samoan and all that sort of stuff. So it just like everyone just was so proud of who they were and what they had, like their culture, and they would bring it. And I was just like, oh, I don't have any of this. Like it's like, but like I love it for them, like and I love being a part of it because they let you be a part of it, and they taught us songs and all that sort of stuff, and you're just like, this is the best thing ever.
I hear nothing but like beautiful stories about going into the Kiwi setup. I know I had a few conversations with the Indigenous boys, and they went over to New Zealand. I forgot when it was, maybe last year, and they talked about how the Māori culture is just so like just inviting and elevating, and everyone's welcoming. And not that the Indigenous culture is not, because it is, but there is that stereotype that a lot of the people in the Indigenous community are trying to break down. But then when they look over in the Māori community, it's celebrated, you know? Yeah. Did you get that feeling?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I wanted to be a part of it, and I wanted to do it with them too. Like we were like learning little songs and stuff. I was trying to like dance. I can't dance. I've got no rhythm or anything. So,
you and me both.
They would all like, we would all be sending like learning, I can't even remember the name of it, but it was like a song and dance kind of thing. And I would stand so far at the back, and they would want to try to bring you forward. I was like, no, please, I'll have an anxiety attack.
Gotcha.
I just want to be a part of it. Like, let me just chill in the back.
Did you get to do the haka as well?
Yes. Yeah.
How was that?
So we were the first NRL team to ever do a haka. Like, they let us do it in that NRL, like where it was filmed and everything like that. So that was insane for such like the fact that it was. None of us were Māori or like we were a ring-in team kind of thing, but they were just. Yeah, they let it. We would do like practices every night and stuff. And
you would practice that, and then what would the older girls or the girls with the who'd be grew up there? They would teach us. Yeah. Were you nervous doing it?
I was so nervous. Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. But once you're in it, like you have. That's the thing is like you can't go half-assed when you're doing that stuff, like because you would just look like an idiot. Like you got like. You have to go and strengthen numbers kind of thing. So you have to be into it and just try your best kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's
But God, I've got videos and stuff like from us doing it, and like I still go back to the Warriors times and have a look. Like it just it makes me so happy.
That's it's cool when you get like a little smile on your face. I've been on the opposing side of the haka many times playing against junior Kiwis and stuff like that, and it's cool. Like I obviously didn't appreciate it that much when you're a kid, because obviously you just don't. But even now being out of the game and seeing the culture, like so special. I've
just started at Wavell, and they had like a cultural night, and I'm such a baby. Like whenever I see like the Indigenous kids did their dance. There was a Māori group, and then there was Samoan. And I was like the teacher standing right at the back, and I was crying.
Yeah.
I just love it. I love seeing the kids doing it. Like, it's such a beautiful thing that they've got. Like, and they should be proud of it, kind of thing. So like whenever I see a haka and stuff, I'm like welled up, like I've got a lump in my throat. I'm just like, oh.
We're getting soft in our old age.
Oh, I know.
So what's the goal going forward? Obviously, the play is to keep playing Kiwis. Would you think about going back to Origin, or is it just not really?
I think there's like a 4-year stand down kind of thing. Like
Okay.
I'm so content with my choice kind of thing, and I do like. I want to put that jersey on as much as I can. Like, I think they've got Pacific Champs. Well, I was meant to play in the Pacific Champs last year, but I got suspended in the final.
Far out, babe.
So I missed 3.
Far
I missed
out.
all 3. I was like, oh my God, I was absolutely gutted. But yeah, I kind of just feel like I'm only just getting started in my football career in general. Like, I've finally, like, I've got a multi-year deal with Bronx now, so I'm safe there. Like, that's like, I just want to keep going, keep getting my, like, play good footy, be comfortable, be confident, like, and then as much international football as I can play. Like, how good?
When's the next World Cup?
25, I think it is.
25.
Yeah.
So that
unless they pushed it back, but it was meant to be in France.
Yeah.
But I think they brought it back here. Word is on the street that it's back down here, so I'm not sure what's going on.
That's got to be such an exciting thing to look forward to. Like, imagine you and the girls like traveling around the world, like playing for your country. That's got to be a special feeling.
Yeah, it's insane. I couldn't even believe it when I was there. Like, we went and played on Old Trafford, and being like a soccer girl, like, that's insane. Yeah. Like, I could not believe it.
Gotcha.
Like, oh my God. But I'm just happy to just keep plugging away as long as I'm getting selected and stuff, and I'll put my 100% in every time.
And you're going into the Bronx season. How you feeling going into that?
I'm very anxious.
Yeah.
No, just with preseason, like, I'm pretty good friends with our SNC, and I went and had coffee with him just recently, and I was like, oh, so how's preseason looking? He's like, oh, well, we didn't really do enough last year. Well, like, we did enough, but we didn't do enough volume. I was like, oh, what do you mean? He's like, well, we just did a lot of MAS, so we're going to do a lot more like volume running and stuff. So like your coat hangers and your diamonds and long distance. I'm like, oh man, I don't know how it could be harder, because I remember last year, like, I just felt like I was going to die every session.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm like, great. But no, I'm so excited to get into the grind. Like, I think I've had a couple of weeks off now, and I'm sort of in that mode where I'm like, all right, come on, like,
I get it.
Just hurry up.
Like,
I want to get my gears. I want to be, you know?
I fully get it. You have a couple of weeks off, and while it's fun and it's much needed, you come back and you're like, okay, let's go. You get that little hunger and that little grind. But now I'm excited to see how the Bronx girls are going to go. Like, I think you guys have had like a history of success and being in a successful club. So it'll be exciting to see how the teams go.
Yeah, I feel like this might be like that, where we're coming back kind of year. Like, last year was good. We didn't finish when we wanted to, but we've pretty much got the same group.
Yeah. And
we've got literally the same group. So we're starting off strong already.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And by the sounds of it, everyone's coming back fitter and stuff, and in good shape, and injuries are pretty good. So
amazing.
Yeah. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Go the girls. Go the girls. Any standalone games that will come with the Bronx? Because I remember I came and watched you girls. Maybe not either last year or the year before, you did a standalone game against the Roosters. I think it was like the first ever Broncos standalone game, and it was like
Sunshine Coast.
and it was great. Like, it was such a good vibe.
And then we've had the standalone games over at Totally Workwear, because I think the Matildas were using Suncorp and stuff at the time.
Gotcha.
So that felt like a stadium as well.
Yeah.
Like, there was a smaller kind of setting, but God, it was good.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Bree, hey, this is obviously a mental health and sport podcast, and I'm so grateful that you're willing to come on and have a conversation and talk about moving teams and changing environments. And I know rugby league and sport in general is it's a roller coaster, right? And we all go through our ups and downs, and I think having someone like yourself on, who is becoming such a role model in your own community. You know, you talked about having people and young girls, like, looking up to the older girls. Like, now I'm
the old girl.
You're the girl. Well, you're not the old girl. But
you're
you're a bit more experienced. But you're also the girl that young girls are looking up to, young boys and girls are looking up to, which is incredible. And I think when we can talk about our own vulnerabilities and struggles, then I guess it makes it okay for everyone else. And like, that's the reason why we do this podcast is to normalize these conversations of mental health and encourage conversations. Throughout your career, and it can be on and off the field, is there a time that you look back on where it was tough? It was tough for you, or something that you'd be willing to share?
Yeah, I would say probably that toughest time is where I removed myself from the origin sort of space. I think that was just the most draining thing, where you get sort of getting pulled in all different directions and stuff. I don't know. I think it's just been up and down the whole time. Hey, like it is just, you're trying to balance everything. Like even to this day, like now I'm getting like I'm 29 and stuff, and I'm like, oh, like I'm worrying about future things. Like, am I like a family, like all that sort of stuff. I'm like, is that going to happen for me? But I still see myself playing football for so long, and I don't know if I could balance doing it all, kind of thing. Like, I think they're just sort of little things that my little worries. I
imagine that's probably a huge conversation for a lot of the girls, right? Is whether to and because we've seen a lot of the girls have kids, like Corbin Baxter, and I know a few of the girls have kids and then come back. But I imagine that's going to be incredibly tough. Like, do the girls have these conversations, or do they think around, do I wait till I'm a little bit older, or do I have them young? Like, is that what do you think?
It's kind of hard, and I suppose it goes off everyone's situation as well. Like, she probably had a partner and stuff like that going into it, and like they've got a good setup and they can balance things together. But I don't know how it's gonna. I don't know. Like, I think everyone's little situation is so different, and then I think it's more of like timing and all that sort of stuff. Like, I'm like, damn, do I need to like start freezing eggs, or just things like that where you wouldn't even think you have to worry about. But it's sort of as part of a sacrifice of putting your all into a sport and sort of chasing a dream. Because I don't know if I'm that kind of person that can balance like work, footy, family and stuff. Like, I'm such a one in all in kind of person. So I just don't know how it's going to happen. It's
there's so many things to try and navigate, especially as a female athlete. Like, I remember I had a good conversation with Liv Koenig. We did a podcast last year, and she's just like, even like menstrual cycles in sport, and knowing that there's going to be some days where I'm not going to be able to lift as much, or I'm not going to be able to have the same energy at the time. I was like, these are things that I am not equipped to talk about, because I've never had that personal experience.
I don't know. It's just like there's not enough study around it either to even know what's going on, or like how you should try and balance. Because there's so many, like, being a woman is just so up and down regardless. Like, and it doesn't help when you've got all this other stuff going on as well. So I don't know. It's just
that's something that I'd love to get a bit more of an understanding around, because a lot of these conversations we want to use as like an educational piece. That's why we cut the clips and we put them on socials. But having conversations with like either a scientist or someone who's in that world. Whoop are doing Kristen Holmes, who is like, I think she's like the head data analyst for Whoop. She wants to do a lot more studies in the sleep space around women, because historically all the previous sleep studies, they've all been around men. Full stop. I imagine there's probably some, but what you have to realize is that women aren't just little men.
We are completely different species.
that's what I mean. But especially from even like a genetics point of view and like a data point of view. So it's cool that they're doing these studies now with we did a conference with the NRL and RLPA with the like NRL psychologists, right? Start of last week. And it was so cool to talk around like even the concussion space and CTE space, where again, historically, all the studies have been around men. And what we have to realize is that women aren't little men. So that's why I'd love to bring like people on this podcast, like people who are experiencing that space, whether that being around nutrition or sleep or I'd like the menstrural cycle around, like how can we get the best out of the female space? I think that'd be cool.
Last night we had like an NRLW leadership like talk and dinner kind of thing, and we had her name's Harriet. I can't remember her last name.
Harriet Brown.
Yeah, she come and had a chat with us, and she would be the one. Because that's what she was talking about being a female in that space and all that, even like menstrual stuff, or so that she would be. So
she was talking about it.
Yeah,
she's a physio,
Yeah. And Iron Woman times 5, I think.
One of the greatest Iron
For
Women.
15 years, And she was telling us about her schedule as an Iron Woman, 14 sessions a week and stuff, and just insane. Yeah.
That's
but she's really knowledgeable.
Yeah, but you would get it around how hard they train, like doing clubbies before, like Surf Lifesavers and Ironman. They train way harder than any rugby league player.
Yeah,
it's wild.
She said 14 sessions like a week,
and they're not.
And we're probably complaining about 5.
Yeah, exactly. But like their sessions is like their swimming sessions might be like 5 to 7, 8 Ks in the pool, and then they're doing like a half Ironman on a Saturday. It's big kilometers, but also just man, I guess it makes you appreciate where we are. Yeah. Hey Bree, life after footy. What are you thinking? Because obviously, like you've been in a part-time system before. Like what does it look like life after footy?
This is something that I've struggled with that whole time. Like just trying to find something that actually excites me enough to want to study or want to dive into, kind of thing, post footy or even during. Like I haven't found anything yet that excites me enough to dive into. But recently I'm gonna go into. I think I'm gonna go into policing.
Cool.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, I'd love to be a cop.
Yeah.
So that's something that actually excites me, and
that could be a beautiful thing, because
it's something I can like step into as I come out and do. Like there's a couple of courses and stuff you can do to get your foot in the door. So
I was going to say, like, imagine the balance piece of playing professional sport, but then also like work and study. Can you do much study in the lead up to that?
Yes, you can. There is a course beforehand. I can't even remember what it's called, but that's sort of the plan this year.
Gotcha.
But you don't even really have to do that. You can just do like the normal application sort of thing into it. But
gotcha.
Yeah, so that's kind of that excites me. I'm like, I want to be a cop, like, because I think it's kind of similar. It's like where you're going to be drilled, you're going to be trained, you're going to like you're sort of in uniform, and that's something that I can see myself doing and enjoying. And like,
well, it's I see that all the time, especially with like working in the past player space in the NRL and catching up with a lot of these guys and girls. It's like a big thing that they miss is routine and having structure. Obviously, like camaraderie and connection and community is another one, but that piece of like, what do I need to be doing and that structure, because
being part like that team, because I'm sure it'll be like a team kind of system and everything, like I think I need that in my life, because even in like off seasons and stuff, that's where I struggle, like where I'm like, I don't know, I just sort of feel half isolated, and then you like come back in and you're like, oh, it's all good, like I've got my mates back and all that sort of stuff. So
but then you can like, because I was similar to you, like when I finished up 2 years ago, and I was conscious of that coming out and not having that thing or that something to I don't know, sort of not attach yourself to, but a community to be a part of. And so I was just like, okay, well, I want to create that community of people who I want to hang around, right? So I was living in Sydney at the time, and then I put like a little home gym just in like a little single car garage, and then like every Saturday morning we'd have like mates and partners come in, we'd do this beautiful little session, we'd go down, have a swim at Coogee Beach, which is amazing. And then even just training, like I think I was telling you this morning, like training with mates. Funnest thing, or doing recovery, like going into P3 this morning, like doing things with friends and like-minded individuals. You talk about people that you want to hang around, like that's it.
Such a need. Yeah. Pretty much the same.
Bree, absolutely loved this conversation. Loved this morning. Loved like getting into some recovery. I loved so many conversations and so many themes that we've spoken about today. Before we do wrap things up, is there anything else that you'd like to touch on that you think we'd missed, or that you'd like to talk about today?
Oh no, I'm pretty stoked with that. Yeah, no, I'm happy.
Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on. I am really excited to see how you're going to go this year with the Bronx. I've got a soft spot for the Bronx. Having played there before, got a lot of love for the girls in the team, but then also the boys as well. So hey, thank you again so much for coming on, and good luck for the season.
Awesome, thanks for having me.